Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the Hard Truth Inside the Football Industry podcast with me, Philip Ideson, and still celebrating championship chairman and co-owner of Peterborough United, Darragh MacAnthony. Darragh?
It's yesterday's news, you know what I mean? It's like, what have you done for me lately? You know, there's no celebration.
I know, right?
Listen, my players, God bless them, they were celebrating still, I think, long into the weekend, even when they beat Doncaster. They rented a pub on the Sunday. We put $5,000 up on the bar. So, and listen, well deserved. So, but I mean, me, since Sunday morning, the day after promotion, I've been working. So that's, I'll celebrate when I go to Dubai in June. But right now, I sold a house, I bought a house, I'm renovating a house, I'm moving a house. It's fucking chaos. I'm said to you today, I'm with contractors. I'm back here doing a Zoom call, super fucking agents. Do you know what I mean? Dealing with players' contracts and bringing new players in. It's mayhem. But I said earlier on our business community area that I posted and stuff that I'm giddy, even though it's exhausting mentally. I'm very giddy, and I have a real appetite for work at the moment. Do you know what I mean? So, but all good. Excited to get into this podcast and talk Posh, Bradford, fucking transfers, fucking the whole shebang. Where do we start?
Well, you had a nice end of the season with some of the kids playing and Ricky J. Jones scoring.
Awesome. Do you know what? I knew the team a week in advance because when we met in recruitment, I was like, Gaff, these kids, you got to give some of these, and he was like, listen, don't worry, they're all playing. And I said, Nadler's got to get an appearance off the bench, a 16-year-old Portuguese wonder kid. But I think everyone had favoured Doncaster. And I knew, because a lot of those players have got pace and power. And, and then you mix them in with some of the proper squad pros as well in there. I kind of knew they all had a point to prove because they hadn't played as much. And we blew Doncaster away in like 45 minutes. I mean, and kind of took our foot off the gas. But yeah, Ricky scored his first league goal, 18. Idris scored again. He's at 20. Who else was in there? Fair play to Mo, scored again. Fucking H set up a couple of goals. Ronnie Edwards, fucking Rolls Royce to the centre back for 18. He's just different mustard. But it was, and the fact it was Doncaster because we just haven't done well against them. So, to kind of like on our way to the championship, to put that one right as well. It was nice to win. And when you look at the league table, 2 points, you realise that I saw one of the Hull players said it, they had to win 10 of the last 13 games and go unbeaten to pip us to the title. That's how relentless we were, so fair play to them winning the league and when you look, we were the best two teams in League One. And, the league table doesn't lie. I think they had 27 wins and we had 26 wins.
Mm-hmm.
We scored 100 odd goals, so you look at it that way and you go, and you know that the scary thing is, Phil, I think we lost our first 3 competitive games of the season, pal.
Yeah, it was a pretty slow start.
We lost our first.
Everyone was panicking.
Not me. We lost our first 2 league games and we lost the League Cup game to Cheltenham. Yeah. So I would say we won 1 and 5 at the start. So to amass 87 league points after that start,
I was thinking about it. You only really had a couple of patches, and I say patches are like 2 or 3 games without a win. That was it. A couple of times throughout the season, and you bounced back from them straight away, and you just kept on going.
There was one bad moment, and I was in Dubai. It was back in November, and we got embarrassed by a non-league team, Chorley, on TV in the FA Cup. We got beaten by Wimbledon, their place, and we got destroyed by Portsmouth. And it was a big moment because I remember the manager played a diamond. We completely went away from the 3 at the back. We went away, we were either 3-4-3 or we 4-2-3-1. Most people thought it was 4-4-2. It was actually 4-2-3-1. The way we, the formation with the 3-4-3. So they were our 2 main formations. And the gaffer, I'll say panicked. Because we hadn't been doing well, he went with a diamond. And the players looked so alien to the diamond because, again, during the summer, it was like, these are the 2 formations, this is what we do. And I remember speaking to him the next day. Now, he was on his way home in the car with Scarfy, actually, from Portsmouth, saying, Gaff, listen, we said in the summer we were going to die on this plate. We were going to pick formations, we were going to recruit to those formations, and we were going to go all or nothing. And I said, you've gone and changed it. And I said, it's backfired badly because the players look like strangers, And I said, don't panic. I know we've had a few sticky results, but we said in the summer, believe in the process, believe in the formation, believe in the recruitment, follow it all the way. And I said, I trust you. So you don't need to be doing things like what's happened at Portsmouth. And to be fair to the gaff, he agreed. And from that day on, he never ever changed from 4-2-3-1 or 3-4-3. Wing backs attack, attacking wing backs kind of thing. And that's what got us up. Nothing to do with me; it's the manager. But again, saying like, sometimes teams, like I'll give you a stat that'll blow your mind. Teams who usually do crap in the championship and get relegated. Okay, there's a 90% chance you're going to finish relegated or really badly in the championship if you change your formation. Those teams average 7 formation changes in the season.
Interesting.
The ones who do really well stick to 2 or 3 set formations. You have a probability of 92% of being successful for the season, whichever you term successful. So the moral of the story by data is, keep it simple, stupid.
And don't panic.
Don't panic. Don't throw all your plans out the window. You might have a run of 3 or 4 games where you're not winning, but if you believe in the process, if the players have trained for that process, because recruitment's so key with formations, because if you go and recruit a left wing back who plays left wing back, and that's the style you're going to play, but they're not really a great left back, and then you suddenly change halfway through to go 4-4-2 with a left back, and suddenly your recruitment's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You recruit a 10 that's going to play off a 9, and whatever else, and you're playing a 4-2-3-1, so that 10 can play across the 3. Again, not an out-and-out striker, so if you go 4-4-2, that person becomes irrelevant in the foot. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like recruitment's very relevant with your manager in the summer to go, what formation are we playing? What do you think? Because we've got to recruit to that formation.
Yeah, you get round pegs and square holes otherwise.
My favourite saying. And I hate that, you know what I mean? So that for us was, and I dare say if you looked at Hull probably had 2 formations that played most of the season. And if you then look at other teams who came in and came out of the playoffs and maybe didn't quite make it, you probably find they had 5 or 6 formations they toyed with. So again, continuity, I always say in sales and life and everything else, repetition and continuity through everything you do. And our players, listen, I can't speak high enough about them. They've been brilliant for us. Like we had a massive bonus with payout. And obviously I went to the players and the players all agreed to take it over the 3 months of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And that showed their character, their love for the club. They could have kept me to the deal that's like the end of June. And I just said, we've had a horrible 18 months, like with COVID, cash flow wise, no income. Of course we can find the money, but it's going to put us under more pressure. So I went to the players and said, look, lads, I'll put a few grand up in the bar for your final party, but can you at least work with me here and like let me pay you over the summer? We're going to pay you, but like we've had no fucking fanning, we've had no income. So, and the players, like Beeves, the captain, all the players, Frankie Kent, senior boys, straight away were like, yeah, we'll do it, no problem. So that was nice. That was like really good. And if Alan Swan's listening, I don't want him like putting out headlines like, oh, Peterborough and cash flow problems, or no, it was just, I looked at it on the Sunday after we were promoted and went, fuck me, those bonuses are big. They're all due in like 6 weeks. Maybe I can get the lads to like give me a few months to do.
Just take one for the team, with everything else that's been going on.
Yeah, because your championship money doesn't begin till August.
Right.
People don't realise that, they think, oh, you got champion. Of course, since we've been promoted, every agent, every player, it's like smelling championship. And I'm like, no, our principles never change. Of course, we're going to recruit. Of course, we're going to bring in players. Of course, our current players are going to do a little bit better. But we're Peterborough United. We're not Manchester United. We have a way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
We are, that kind of, well-run club that's prudent. We're not going to go silly. And we would never put our club in jeopardy. And we're not going to just like suddenly everyone's driving fucking Ferraris and Rolls Royces in the car park. It's not going to happen. So people know when they come to us, it's for a reason. It's not to get rich.
How you talked about the kids and the kids being a big part of Saturday, and I know you've talked about them throughout the season and some of the expectations and potential that you have in that squad. How does getting promoted, does that change that, or have you got kids in there that can step up with the club?
I laughed afterwards because the interviewer said to Darragh, the BBC said, oh, Ricky J. Jones, phenomenal, Ronnie Edwards, are they gone out on loan next year? And Darragh's answer straight away was, are you joking? They'll be playing the championship. And I'm telling you now, they could play in the championship. Now, under that, there is a couple of other youngsters who aren't quite ready, who will play in our under-23s and maybe go out on loan. But players like Harrison Burrows and your Ricky J. Jones and Ronnie Edwards, they're going to play a lot of championship games. So stay fit, God willing. They're ready and they love the club. And we have another one, Flynn Clark, but I'm not sure he wants to stay. I think him and his representatives want to move on. So that's a shame, because at 18 he would have played a lot in the championship. Rivaling Sammy at 10. So the one thing we can now give our young players and young gems out there we recruit is we can give them one step from the Premier League proper football. If you want to go and join a Premier League club and play under 21 football or go out on loan to League Two, well, that's your prerogative if it can be done. But if I were a young player, I know it's Peterborough's where it's happening.
Yeah.
So, oh God, no, there's like some of those players, Phil, I mean, they're ready. I mean, and they're men. I mean, we talk about, like, I was stood next to Ricky and Ronnie at the party after, the Lincoln draw. And the size of those boys, they're already filling out. I mean, they're like, when I saw them a year ago compared to now, Harrison Burrows had, like, a year ago, he was playing at Rotherham getting battered. A year later, he's like coming on against Charlton, a real physical game and winning physical battles, because puberty with young men is different stages. Do you know what I mean? They go away, they come back over a summer, and you wouldn't recognize them. It's the same with my son. He's 6'2" now. A year ago, he's like 5'7", 5'8". This is what happens with young guys. So, and the great spirited thing is that they got great families, they're good boys, they want to play, they're hungry. Sitting on the bench, coming off, waiting their chance, waiting their turn. They haven't been in trouble. They're not problematic. They're good young men. They're not going to be falling out of nightclubs, doing things. They're which is a credit to their parents, their families. They're very, very committed to their profession. And that's very difficult to find, particularly the ones who are staying with us. Do you know what I mean? Very committed to their profession. And it's very difficult to find in young footballers nowadays.
Well, today we're going to go a little bit through the leagues and take a look at what's been going on as seasons are starting to wrap up. But I think a couple of weeks' time, we're going to do one last pod for the season as well, once the playoffs are concluded.
So what we're going to do, to let the fans know, absolutely, we're not going away. We're going to, season 1, you can call it 52 episodes or whatever else. So we're going to come out with season 2. We will, in a couple of weeks, do a bit of a retro episode, going back on the season, talking about the playoffs, talking about whatever. And then the next episode you will hear will be live from Portugal when I'm out there pre-season with Posh, and it'll be season 2, which will be championship. So that's what we're going to be when we get into the next season, and we're going to ramp up the podcast and hopefully get a lot more listeners. There's going to be championship football, and we're going to have guests on. So just to give an idea to people, don't think we're going away because they're not going to see the pod coming out for a few weeks. It's going to be like probably 8-week break, by the time we're so, which will allow you to do your fucking day job, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and get my passport so I can get on the next plane to Portugal.
Listen, you're welcome, absolutely. Welcome. You know what I mean? So, no, that's exciting stuff. Yeah. Speaking of Bradford, let's start right there. So, obviously, I was with contractors at my house, and I saw a tweet from you. My head was up my ass, so I hadn't been on Sky Sports, and obviously, I saw your joint dream team. That you were obviously, jizzing in your pants about 3 months ago.
Got the chop. Football moves quickly, doesn't it?
Oh my God almighty. I saw that at Tranmere. Keith Hill was chopped up the playoffs.
Yeah.
So let's talk Bradford first. So,
yeah.
Right. So first question, right decision?
Yes. And I say, the only reason I pause is because I hate the idea of firing and hiring so quickly. And we've done that for the last 2 years. We've been through 5 or 6 managers. It's obviously got us nowhere. Like, why is this time going to be different? So that's why I have a little bit of a pause, but it is the right decision, I think. The last 7 or 8 games, our season has really been split into thirds. So we had the first third of the season where we were just awful and we were second bottom and we had to make a change. Then we had Mark Truman, Connor Sellers came in, defied everybody's expectations, went on a fantastic run, got us to the verge of the playoffs. We're 3 points off the playoffs with 10 games to go or something like that. So, we basically did the Bolton. And then, ironically, we played Bolton. I think we drew to them, or maybe they beat us. I can't remember now. But the wheels fell off, and we didn't kick on.
Right.
And the last 7 or 8 games, we've won. Well, we haven't won. We've got 1 point in the last 7. We've scored 2 goals in the last 7.
Oh, wow.
It's been awful football. And, they've talked about changing things up and trying to go more attacking, but they haven't.
They lost the dressing room, obviously. To lose 7 games,
yeah.
dramatic has had to happen in a dressing room? You know, look, if you're bottom of a table all season, you lose 7, 8 games, that's not a dressing room issue with the manager. But if you're suddenly on a run of 20 games and you've won X amount and you win manager of the month and you get manager's contracts and you're 3 points from the playoffs, something's happened where there's been a massive chasm, you know, or whatever. So have they lost the dressing room?
You know, from an outsider perspective, it wouldn't surprise me. You know, one of the reasons I say that is, for example, Danny Rowe, the striker that we signed in January, who did really well and was then out of the team for a while and never really found his place back. And 3 months later, he's deciding to take a contract in non-league. So, you know, you don't go from being kind of the cult hero to taking a step down for a contract in 2 months without something. What's gone on, I don't know, but you know, the change was pretty dramatic.
Ryan, we had Ryan on the podcast, great
Yeah.
guy, and you know, obviously a good time to come on. It was a good time. He was enjoying it. He was handling everything really well. How is he at the moment? Is he feeling the flack? Is he under pressure? Is it coming at him fast and furious?
In Ryan's defense, I think most of the fan base understand that it was a really hard decision, and it's probably the right decision. You know, I haven't really seen any pushback from it because the last 7 or 8 games had got so bad. I think that it was. I don't think that a lot of people didn't think he would make the decision. You know, because he was in the position of, you know, already sacking Stuart McCall, bringing these guys on, extending them, giving them longer contracts, you know, trying to set them up for success and talking about being the long term. It's really hard to go against that and then fire them. So I think there was an expectation that maybe they'd let it ride over the summer, see what happened over the summer. But, you know, a belief that maybe we're going to be sat here in October with the same problem again.
Well, here's the problem Ryan's going to have now. Because obviously there was questions of, you know, young guy stepping up from the position he went from. You know, if he gets the next one wrong,
yeah,
is he under serious pressure? That's my question to you.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect so. As anybody, you know, they're judged by what happens on the field ultimately, and if the next one is wrong and it goes pretty badly pretty quickly, I mean, you have a pretty fractured fan base. You know, you've got a fan base that, you know, as we've talked about on the show, we've got good numbers of supporters. We've had a lot of folks in Valley Parade. You've been there when it's been almost full. You know, and seen what an atmosphere it can be. And a year without football, you know, you have people saying, I don't really know if I want to go back. So that's the situation that despite being away for a year, some of that passion's gone and they need something to rekindle the passion.
Is Derek Adams the guy to rekindle the passion? I saw him linked with the job. I mean, let's just say, first off, the fucking job he's done at Morecambe.
Oh, yeah.
Miraculous. I mean, absolutely, look, miraculous. I mean, oh God, yeah. Look, there's a lot of good managers who've done incredible things in the Football League. Bonner at Cambridge United, you know, right to the Cheltenham guys. You know, there are some fucking outstanding jobs done. Even Grant McCann winning League One after last year. So you got to give credit to those managers. But what Adams has done with Morecambe, with all due respect to Morecambe, fuck me,
it's an amazing job getting them. I mean, we were played off the park by them on at the weekend.
Wow.
And he's done a fantastic job. And I mean, on one hand, you want somebody who's a winner.
So does he get you hard?
Does he what? Sorry?
Does he get you hard?
No.
Sorry for being direct.
Yeah, no, because I don't know. I think that one of the things that we struggled with, and it's really down to his like brand of football. You know, it's not the most exciting, at least in my experience, it's not the most exciting football. And, you know, there's a train of thought that says, well, if you win, does it really matter? And yes, we've had a few years of some pretty poor football and poor results. So poor football or not exciting football to watch, and winning will be a step in the right direction. I'm not sure what else is out there that, you know, where our ambition is in terms of bringing somebody in.
Yeah.
He's not somebody that excites me. I mean, and the reason why is I look at Gary Boyer, you know, and we brought Gary Boyer in, and Gary Boyer was, you know, going to be the person that took us back up, and he was doing okay. We were in the playoffs, but he got chased out of town because the football wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
So I would just worry about the same thing happening, that, you know, he gets results, but people still aren't happy with the end product.
Understood.
Well, who knows?
Yeah. Look, That's big now, because I'm not sure how much longer Bradford fans want to hang around League Two. So that is a massive, massive summer coming up.
Yeah, it's hard because the last time we were down in the basement, we G'd up the fan base by bringing Stuart McCall in for the first time. Bringing the club legend in by doing the £150 season tickets,
Yeah.
like getting bums on seats. And we've used all those tricks. And that kind of sustained things until we started going back up in the right direction again.
Yeah.
The longer that you look at teams like Bolton who drop down and they figure it out and they go back up again. It's like our ambition. I don't think we have, as a fan base, we have a big enough ambition.
Okay.
And it's almost like while we're not happy, we're accepting our place and we're accepting, we're just going to get another journeyman manager.
It's back to promotions you need at Bradford.
Mm-hmm.
I said this the other day. I was on my BBC 5 podcast I do, and they said to me about Salford, and I'd say the same. They said, what would you? Because I was speaking to Gary Neville a couple of weeks ago about club ownership and stuff, and he congratulated me on promotion. And they were like, well, what would you say to Salford? And I would go, look, how desperate are you for success? Because sometimes it gets to that time where you make a decision, like, you sacrifice other things just to get out of where the fuck you are.
Yeah.
So if I said to you guys, look, I got someone for you, but you're not going to like it. It's going to get messy, but he'll win you back-to-back promotions. What would you say?
I'd take it.
Right. So my advice, like I said about Salford, is, and if he became available in the summer, hire Steve Evans.
Mm-hmm.
He would win back-to-back promotions with his eyes shut at Bradford.
It's funny, he has such a reputation with City fans.
I know he's. I know you guys reported him. I know there's a lot of crap. I know all of that. Football's got short memories when there's success on the line. And I said that if Salford went and got him, they'd be in the Championship within 2 years, 3 years max. If Bradford got him, because of the size of the club and the way he manages and his assistants, it would be fierce to go to Valley Parade with him there. No team would want to visit. And I would almost put my left testicle that you would win promotion first year easily, no problem, League Two. And in League One, you'd be top 6. I mean, fuck me. He's taken Gillingham nearly to the playoffs.
Yeah.
I know what his kind of budget was and what he had to do in there. And look, I still talk to Steve all the time. And, it didn't work for me. And I got rid of him. He was 6th with us. But as I said, what price would you pay as a fan? If someone walked in and said, look, it mightn't be someone you're going to like. It's not your cup of tea, but you're going to be in the Championship within 30 months. After all the years and the shit you've put up with, could you go, well, actually, we could learn to love this guy? Because Rotherham fans did. Do you know what I mean? And you got to remember, as a guy, he never got relegated for the Championship. He left Rotherham and they were in a really good fucking place. And pretty much everywhere he's gone, he's always done well. And, I have to give him credit. Him and Paul Rayner, as much as they're not everyone's cup of tea, and he wound me up when they won 1-0 at our place. I had to pull my manager because my manager lost his cool. And I said, you're letting them do what they want to do. That's the MO. I've never seen my manager and the assistant manager lose their fucking shit. And I'd spoken to the gaffer before the game, don't lose your shit. But that's what they do. But listen, it works. And if you ignore all the hysterics and all the crap that goes with them, they're actually fucking really good coaches. They're really good, management team. They're really good at getting results. They've come to our place. We lost twice all season and they frustrated us, beat us 1-0. We had 20 fucking shots, but they stopped us winning the title. Because, and if you look at their record against the top 6 in League One, they're fucking really good. And that's not by accident, by the way. That's good management. So all I'm saying, with a Rotherham with a Salford or with a Bradford, you want to get out of those leagues. You want to get back to the champ, fucking pay the man. Because the one thing you're going to have to do with Steve Evans is you ain't getting him cheap.
So what would you do? You walk into Bradford and you've got 12 months to get out of League Two.
If I was in League Two, I would tell the players, I would tell the fans, and I would say, look, everyone loves champagne football, and we all want to play Pep Guardiola football. And my manager plays a nice brand of football, but we're going to have to mix it up. We're in the fucking basement here. And we need to get going. And we need momentum. This football club needs momentum. And momentum means winning promotion. Then you're in League One. Now you're one step from the champ. And my overall target is I need to get Bradford in the Championship within minimum 3-4 years. Hopefully back-to-back. But within 4 years, otherwise I'm a failure. With a club that's the crowd and everything else, that's where I want them. So we're going to bring Steve in if that's the way we're going. And I'm very, very confident that he's going to win us promotion probably 2 of them, and get us back to the championship. Now, I'm asking the fans, swallow all the crap that's gone on before, trust the process, trust that I know what I'm fucking doing when I make a decision like that, and give me that time to do it. Do you know what I mean? So that would be me. I'd probably piss off every Bradford fan in Bradford. You know what I mean? But I'm that guy who's thick-skinned enough that I believe in. I need to win. I need to win now. I don't have 3 years in League Two to fucking get this club up and running. That's not why I bought it. So I got to go right now. Do you know what I mean? And the best person to go right now to get out of this fucking league is Steve, you know, or someone else as an example. So I'd be pretty ruthless, and my newness would buy me time with the fan base. Do you know what I mean? And that would be
you get some kind of trust just to just so the honeymoon period, so to say.
Correct, absolutely. Look, if I had Bradford, my first phone call would be Darren Ferguson, of course. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like, listen.
And after he tells you to go and do one.
Yeah, he would, because obviously he's got a nice home near Peterborough, very settled. But if he weren't in a job and I was there, and if all of that happened in the world, if we were talking about like sliding doors moments, of course, you know, if my partners decided to throw me out and bought me out and got rid of me, you know, and I went and bought a Bradford, I'd be like, listen, I'm fucking Darren Ferguson's coming. I'd probably have Baz out of semi-retirement and still do a bit of work for me, and I would bring that to the party. Do you know what I mean? Because, you know, successful people don't really navigate and change from what works for them. You know what I mean? So not that I'm trying to sound a successful person, but having won promotions, you know what I mean, and whatever else, you go, right, it's a formula.
You've got a process.
And a process. So yeah. So that's my thing. Anyway, enough about Posh.
Yeah. What about Keith Hill? Yeah, what about Keith Hill?
Yeah, look, I know Nicola. I speak to Nicola Panios on Twitter and stuff, and we were speaking the other day. She was congratulating us, and I was wishing her well for the playoffs, because, you know, what happened last year is very unjust, and I'd like to see Tranmere promoted. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's going on there. I know the fans were unhappy. I know things didn't go well the last 10, 15 games. I mean, they dumped us out of the fucking the EFL Cup. You know, and at that point, I didn't see that happening. I always thought Keith Hill was a good manager. I don't know if there's been a fallout between him and the hierarchy. I guess the owners believed there was no way they were going to win those playoffs. So, you know, there must have been something stinking in the camp for that.
Yeah, I watched somebody that I'm connected with, who's a Tranmere fan, does a podcast on Tranmere.
Yep.
You know, Matty, I saw him post something about an interview that he did after the game, Keith Hill did after the game on Saturday, and it being kind of a crazy interview. So I went and watched that. And you could, you know, he was kind of trying to deflect blame everywhere. And I mean, it just looked like one of those moments where the time's up.
When managers pull that, and other managers do that to me, when you start getting called out and you start blaming higher up, or you start blaming, I didn't get my players, or did it. I've always said this to young managers, you know, toe the line, don't do that to yourself. It's not going to end well. So look, I know this, Mark and Nicola run a good football club, and they wouldn't do anything to endanger that football club. So they've made the right decision for their football club, and they're probably going to get a lot of flack, but they've done it obviously for the right reasons. So you have to trust them, and I think the Tranmere fans trust them.
Yeah, I think they were on a really bad run, and the guys that they brought back in were the caretakers before Keith Hill came in and did well for them. So, you know, I hope that they can get them over the edge, so to speak.
Yeah.
We have a lot of things to talk about across the leagues, and I know that time is
let's do it.
Time's running out, so I'm wondering if we focus on most of that next time when we do a season recap, because we've also got a ton of questions that we got in from listeners over the past week or two.
Give me the biggest point across the leagues you want to discuss now, and the rest we'll talk about in a couple of weeks.
All right, let's go. Let's go into the Premier League then, and let's have a look at those. So, Man City, can they win everything?
Absolutely. It's funny. I had Ferran Soriano send me a nice letter. You know, promotion. That was beautiful. You know, it was lovely to see that. You know, obviously ex-Barcelona, running Man City. So I liaised on email with him, and that was a nice moment. You know, because he sent this letter, and it was like, you know, addressed, "Hi Darragh, you know, just want to congratulate you on everything you've been through to get promoted." Those little things are nice. You know, I had the Bristol Rovers owner, fair play, they were relegated. He messaged me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Mark Catlin at Portsmouth. No one else really in ownership in League One messaged me, but they were the and in fairness, Calvin at Northampton who got relegated, fair play, and again and my partner took some stick for congratulating Cambridge and coming up.
Mm-hmm.
They're like the mortal enemies. The way I look at it is this: I want Cambridge and Northampton to do well because it's good for our region geographically. We want that to be a football hotbed. So would I like Northampton and Cambridge in the championship with us? Hell yeah. I think it's good
A few
for
more bums on seats as well.
yeah, I think it's good for business. I think rivalries like that are great. Would Liverpool want Everton in the championship, or would they want to play them twice a year? I know what I'd want.
Mm-hmm.
So I was disappointed for Calvin because I like the people behind Northampton. Fair play to Mark Bonner at what he's done at Cambridge United. I wasn't going to put that in social media because I sort of stick my part Randy got.
You knew what was coming. You've been around a little bit longer.
But I wanted to explain on the podcast why, I think it's healthy those clubs doing well. And I want them to do well. I want like Cambridgeshire and the surrounding area to be a hotbed for football talent. So, I think it's good for business for Posh having those nearby. So I would always, but it was nice. It was nice, as I said, to hear from Bristol, from Northampton, to hear from the Portsmouth guy. Everyone else, didn't reach out and go fuck themselves. I'm talking about personally. That's fine. But so Premier League, Man City, absolutely best team, phenomenal. Obviously, the FA Cup they can't do because of Chelsea. Chelsea could stop them in the final. I think they're going to be unstoppable in the final. I wouldn't be surprised that I know Tuchel will have a plan. I think Man City could run all over them in that final. They've won the league early enough, and now they can really start preparing for that Champions League final.
Yeah. I'm going to go to the Championship and Derby. I don't know if you saw the last weekend.
No, I was speaking to Curtis Davis, my man before. He's on my Five Live podcast. He's like the player, I'm the chairman. And we were messaging obviously before. I was really happy to see him because he'd been injured. He came off the bench. He played a part in keeping them up. I'm really, really happy, from that perspective because I know obviously a couple of the players.
Yeah, it was I went backwards and forwards between the Sheffield Wednesday game and the Derby game. Sorry, the Sheffield Wednesday game and the Rotherham game.
I think Rotherham were very unlucky, Phil.
Yeah.
I mean, if Rotherham had a goal scorer, I watched Rotherham probably 3 out of the last 6 games I watched, just by chance in England. And physically, as we know, they would be strong team. If they had a goal scorer, I think Rotherham would have had a good fucking season. Now, a lot of fans want me to laugh at the fact Rotherham and Wycombe have come down and we've gone up. And I've got tweets got hammered by Wycombe and Rotherham fans last year when I didn't like the vote. And, a bunch of wet wipes coming at me, some of them, do you know what I mean? But I have no animosity towards Rotherham or Wycombe. I've suffered relegation. I don't want to see any club fucking relegated. But I like Tony Stewart, the owner of Rotherham, quite well. And I really thought they were fucking unlucky. Honest to God, if you watch their last 7-8 games, they created a shitload of fucking chances. They'd had a goal scorer, they would have been a fucking good team. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, interesting. But, yeah.
Yeah, and just a couple of minutes to go from the end of that one. And,
been there, felt it, been there. But I know what Rotherham are like. I know what Tony's like. He'll probably back that manager. They'll build again, and they'll be one of the top 4 or 5 teams in League One next year. Even though it's a tough league, they'll be up there.
Now, what do you make about Derby and the EFL action?
I think it's next season. I don't think they should be doing it this season. To relegate them now after all of that and everything that's gone on. I know that the Derby owner wasn't well at some stage. There have been ownership takeover problems that have fallen through. I don't think the EFL need to be punishing their fan base. Wycombe fans won't like me saying that, but again, I don't like things happening on votes. I don't like things happening on deducted points. I think you should earn promotions 46 games. I think you should earn your stay in the championship based on 46 games. They always say the league table never lies. So for Derby to be relegated and then another team take their place, I don't like that. Which is the obvious answer. So I hope that doesn't go that way. And I hope Derby fight that and that doesn't happen.
So let's go into League One. Managerial appointment of the season and the suggestion from producer Henry, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, and the job that he did at Burton.
Yeah, I love Jimmy. Jimmy's obviously, I know him and whatever else. And what a job he did at Burton. I mean, they were fucking dead and buried. I would have to say, between him, the Wimbledon Academy manager who stepped up, the Wigan manager again who stepped up, with everything Wigan about, because they could have gone the way of Bolton, down to League Two. So it would be really tough to choose between maybe them three, for the job that was done. But in saying that, I think they gave Manager of the Year to Grant McCann, and he's one of my gems that I made a manager and played a part in. So look, I'm going to congratulate. I texted him, congratulations on winning the title. When he lost 15 games out of 17 at the end of last season, everyone thought that'd be the end of him. But Grant's built differently. He's hardcore. I knew that wouldn't stop him. So, I think he probably deserves Manager of the Year for exceptional work. Those three I mentioned, phenomenal job they've done to keep their clubs like where they are and what they've done. Yeah, wow, Burton, Jesus, they beat us. They're lucky to fucking beat us, but they beat us, yeah.
Yeah, now it doesn't matter how lucky they were; they got the points.
100%. That's just the way it goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's. I'm really looking forward to watching the playoffs.
Yeah. So what we got Sunderland. Portsmouth missed out, didn't they?
Gutted. The CEO gutted.
Yeah.
Portsmouth, they voted to play last year, even when they were already in. I mean, so I was gutted they missed out.
And that was Oxford that pipped them on the last day, was it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they lost to Accrington and Stanley, Portsmouth.
Yeah.
And Oxford pipped them, so I was gutted for Portsmouth, if I'm honest.
So where's your money for a playoff winner?
My wife asked me last night, we were having a drink, and I said, thank fuck we're not in the playoffs. Although I'd always see us. I described it to her. I said, Blackpool had our number twice. They've got a really, really good coach. We've got better players, in my opinion. The league showed that. But for whatever reason, their coach, he had our number. And, really, really tough. Sunderland is Sunderland, fucking Goliath of a club. Lincoln, the job Appy's done there, Michael Appleton, fucking unbelievable. And then Oxford are just like Peterborough 10 years ago. You score 2, we'll score 3.
Mm-hmm.
0 down, we win 3-2, free scoring. I mean, Phil, I could not tell you who the fuck's going to win the playoffs.
And Oxford, I mean, it was a fantastic job from being, I mean, they were languishing, not just the first couple of games of the season, weren't they? The first probably 10 or so.
I would argue there he had a better squad and they should have done better than languish. They shouldn't have needed to go in at the last minute. But in fairness, he got them in, and that that would have been his job. But again, a dangerous team can score goals. I mean, Charlton just missed out. Portsmouth just missed out. It was such a fucking melee going into the final weeks. I really couldn't pick it. Who would you pick?
Oh, Lincoln. I would like Lincoln to do it.
Fair play.
I mean, for the same reason that you talked about, they've all got something different. I think there's more pressure on Sunderland because there's more pressure of them missing out. But for Lincoln, is this their one opportunity? And after this season, does it become harder? I'm not sure. Can they do it again?
Yeah, I mean, nobody. I would not like to have been in League One next year.
Yeah,
you got Ipswich resurgent with money. You got Portsmouth will come back with a vengeance and want to spend. If the counties stay or not. You've got Sunderland, if they're still down there, they've got a billionaire owner. You got Sheffield Wednesday coming down. You got Rotherham, who's going to be experienced and strong. Mm-hmm. You got Bolton on the up from League Two. You've already got a load of clubs that are ex-Premier League in League One. I mean, that is a fucking league. I haven't even mentioned Charlton. That is Blackpool have got a wealthy owner. That is a tough league. Thank fuck this was the year to get out of that league.
Well, League Two, we talked about obviously what's going on with City. We talked about Keith Hill. I don't know if you had any thoughts about this Southend and Grimsby talking about taking legal action to try and stay up in League Two, if you saw about that.
No. What's going on?
Yes. So their position was if the National League aren't relegating anybody, then the EFL shouldn't relegate anybody either.
Enough already, guys. You've had your 46 games. You went down. Take it like a man.
Yeah.
Take it like a fucking man. I'm fed up with this shit. I'm fed up with people stealing promotions and fucking, whatever else and votes. And I've said this. I don't hear about votes. I don't hear about legal shit. Take your fucking relegation. Man up and come back. And that's fucking wrong. If somebody wins, I think Torquay were like winning the National League or whatever up there.
Yeah, Torquay and Sutton, I think, are the two that are up.
Steal, their promotion from them. That fucking shenanigans. No fucking way. I wouldn't be happy with that. As much as Southend are a massive football club and shouldn't be non-league, take your medicine.
They lost the games and so they're in non-league. I mean, it's the same as anyone.
Like, stop. like just enough already. You know what I mean? You know, we played 46 games.
All right, we got a bunch of questions that came in, so let's take a quick break. We'll come back with listener questions. Hey everybody, welcome back to the pod. So we have some questions coming in, and let me go straight into them. The first one is from James, who's a Sheffield Wednesday fan. James says, he appreciate the last thing you want to talk about is League One after Peterborough's promotion. I think you talk about any football all day long, so I don't think you have to worry about that. He's wondering about if there's any tips that you can give on the best way for Sheffield Wednesday to bounce back out of the league this season. You know, is Darren Moore the right man?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And should they start to sell some assets?
I think if Darren Moore hadn't got ill with COVID, I think Sheffield Wednesday would have stayed up.
Yeah.
I do rate him as a manager. I think he's a brilliant manager. And I think what he's really good at is he's really good at getting good loans from Premier League clubs. He did it with Doncaster and they were fucking flying. And so my tip would be don't interfere. Leave him to do what he's good at. Mm-hmm. Give him the support to recruit. And, you know, if I were the ownership, I'm saying to Sheffield Wednesday, the fans will be back. They're going to be a monstrous club in League One. I'm sure they've got some strength still there. Hopefully they can let go of lots of people who are out of contract who are on silly championship wages. Yeah. So if you get an opportunity to clear the decks, freshen things up, you've got a fresh new manager. I'm pretty certain they're going to be one of the 3 teams promoted out of League One next year. So look, Sheffield Wednesday, they're a Premier League club, you know, and everything there. Don't be surprised that they have a hell of a season. You know, they're going to be challenging to win the league.
Yeah, and James says they've a host of out of contract players, so they've only got 12 senior players.
Good news. Because if you go down with 20 players that are all contracted and are on big wages and whatever, it's a messy summer. If you go down with 10, 12, get rid of 3 or 4, then you can go out and recruit 12, 13 new players. You can reset everything. So that means they're in really good shape. I fancy now hearing that they've only got that amount of contracted players.
Now, if you're in that situation, do you, because we talked about before your philosophy on contract length, you know, should Sheffield Wednesday be going and giving out 1-year contracts or maybe 2 just to try and get them back up again? Or
well, what they should do now is it depends on the recruitment strategy. You know, is it, do we need to go out and get experienced players to get back up? Well, then it's 1-year deals. Are we going to rebuild with some youth? Are we going to have some gems? Are we going to have a little bit of flair? Are we going to invest transfer fees? Everything is depending on what kind of player you're recruiting. You wouldn't go and spend 300 grand on a player and give him a 1-year deal.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now, you know, there might be a couple of players they want to keep, Jordan Rhodes or whatever, or, you know, okay, he's older, we'll give him a 1-year deal with an option. If he does well, you know, whatever it might be. So, look, they can have a reset. I think they're going to be in really good shape.
So we have a question from, let's see, from Neil, who's a Posh fan. It says, I have a question about add-ons for when a player is transferred. So if a player gets transferred again, do the add-ons carry over to his new club? Or are they basically done when that transfer takes place?
Yeah, the only add-ons to sell on. So say Ivan Toney, as an example, he gets sold. We'll get paid to sell on, and then we pay Newcastle to sell on. If Ivan Toney then goes again, and Real Madrid come in and pay 100 million, that club who bought him from Brentford would get a sell on, Brentford would get a sell on, we would get a sell on, Newcastle would get a sell on. But your margins become smaller the more diluted the player becomes move along. So yes, but other add-ons wouldn't count, like England caps or appearances or goals scored. No, that stops the minute he leaves Brentford.
It's interesting to hear though that the percentage sell on, while diluted, doesn't just leave with the deal.
Unless Brentford did a deal where they sold him without a sell on, then it would stop.
Okay.
But no club would do that. So let's say Brentford sold him for 40 million. Great, sell him. Let's say Chelsea bought him for 40 million. Let's say Chelsea then sold him to Real Madrid for 100 million. As long as Chelsea have a sell on and Brentford have a sell on and whatever else, it carries on. If at some stage a player's bought and there's no sell on, then the whole thing stops.
Now, would you or do clubs buy out the sell on,
of course,
so to speak? So say we're going to give you 100 grand today to make that sell on go away.
I've done it. I've bought sell ons out over the years. I gave advice to Pete Winkleman many years ago to go to Tottenham and asked them if they wanted to buy the Dele Alli sell on out. And he was like, you can do that? And I'm like, damn right. So if, at the time, Dele Alli was like, you know, would he be worth 100 million? Say they were due 20%, that's 20 million. So I said, ring Daniel Levy and say, look, give us 6 or 7 mil now.
Yep.
and we call it quits. We need the cash. You know what I mean? So within football, you can negotiate on so many different things, and I've done so many little things here and there that will benefit us, or maybe at some stage we need help with something, so we might do this or do that. So yeah, all can be done.
We have a question from Danny. Danny says, we don't hear so much about women entering football as coaches and managers.
Sure.
Emma Hayes is doing an outstanding job in the world of football. Can you see a female coaching one of the 92 anytime soon?
Soon, no. Over time, probably. Look,
Mhm.
we're in a world now where everything's changing, a little bit too much. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not talking about women's football or women's management. I'm talking about, the woke shite we're dealing with in America and the virtues we're doing it. But she's a phenomenal, phenomenal manager and coach. She's almost like Sir Alex Ferguson, like in the female world. So you've got men going in there and coaching in the female world. I would expect it to happen the other way. I see no reason for it. You're seeing women in the NFL now. You're seeing referees who are women who are very good at their job. I think it will take time to catch on. Some of the players as well, the respect levels and everything else, it's very different. But I think when one breaks the back of it, more will follow. It's like everything else in life, I guess. You start setting precedents, and then it just opens up.
You need a trailblazer.
I'll be honest, Emma at Chelsea, I know she was linked with jobs, but she'd be getting paid a lot more money to stay at Chelsea than she would at a League One club.
Right.
It would be a drop down for someone as good as her, with all due respect to League One, to go to a League One football club. Do you know what I mean? So she's managing one of the biggest clubs in women's football. So, why would you want to leave that and go and earn half the fucking money in League One? With all the crap that will come with it at the start. Makes no sense. So, listen, she's the best at what she does. She decides to move. I'm sure if she wanted to, she would break into men's football.
Now, a question from Zach. Zach asks, so do you think that Peterborough are in a better place as a squad to face the Championship this season than you would have been if you'd have gone up last season?
No. I think last season, recruitment's been really good for 2 years, and it's pretty much the same batch of players. We'd probably be better now with the younger players a year older, so they were helping out the squad. But I'm not one of those people say, oh, it's too early for you to get promoted. Fuck no. It's never too early to get promoted.
Take it if it's there.
You take it and you reassess and you do your best to thrive. So, we're in good shape. We've got a lot of really, really promising young players. We've got some really, really good club players, Football League experience. They'll step up. Some might not step up. That's the way football goes. But I would expect the mass majority we're keeping will definitely step up. And this week we've released, I think, 6. There's 4 gone on the list. This is what happens. The squad gets a little bit refreshed, but the spine of the team's strong. And now we go and add to the squad. So, look, that's down to me now and the job I do with Baz, with the backing of my partners. And we'll do our best now to put together a really competitive squad. We want to thrive, not survive. We want to thrive. And we don't want to look over our shoulder. And, we want to establish ourselves as a proper championship club.
Anything to say about, so you published your retained list and your released list and a few players that you put up for transfer. Anything to say about kind of who you're keeping, who you're letting move on? And
yeah, we Louis Reed obviously has been brilliant for us. We had a couple of good League Two clubs try and sign him in January, and argued with me over wages, and one of them missed out in the playoffs, and he would have definitely guaranteed them automatic promotion, in my opinion. I think he was unlucky. We had partnerships going on. He didn't get to play, but one thing I can give Louis is when he did play, he was brilliant for us. I think he will have a career in the Championship eventually.
Yeah.
He might have to go to a League One club and then come back up, but he will have a career. And Fraser Blake Tracy, he had injuries, he had issues, but when he played for us, brilliant. Never let us down. Serhat Tasdeemer, really good young player I invested in a couple of years ago. Hasn't quite happened. I think geographically he needs to move near home, but he'll come again because he's too talented not to come again. Mo Isa, we paid £1 million for him. People slaughtered me yesterday. Some of them said, oh, he's only scored 2 goals. No, he started fuck all games. If Mo Isa, if you look at his career at Posh, he's probably got 20 league goals in 45 starts.
Mm-hmm.
And because we played a certain style, like I said earlier, where it was one up front in a 4-2-3-1 or 3-4-3, where it was one striker and then a nippy winger and Dembele and Schmodix, Isa was the victim of not being able to get into our team. But Mo Isa, put it this way, if a Portsmouth, if a Charlton, if an Ipswich, say Sunderland were still in League One, If one of those 4 clubs signed Mo Isa, you nailed on very close to automatic promotion, because he will score 25 league goals in one of those teams. But unfortunately, they're going to have to pay me for that. And I'm not selling him here. I'm not desperate to promote him. We're now on the channel. I don't need to desperately promote him. I just know with his age, the way he plays, he will score. There's a reason Darragh MacAnthony went out and spent the money I did on Mo Isa. And in year 1, which was only 18 months ago, he had a great partnership with Ivan Toney, where he nearly scored 20 league goals. If we got promoted last year, he would have played a big part in that. So, he is, and he's a great lad, and he's good to go. You know what I mean? And he's not greed driven. He wants to play and score goals. So anyone with their head screwed on, you always have a price to pay to get promoted. People want to know, you want promotion or whatever. I put my money in my mouth as my partner's money in mine. And I went out and I spent 1.2 million on Clark Harris. So I spent whatever else. If you want to get out of League One, you're going to need a goal scorer. Do you know what I mean? So Mo Isa is a goal scorer. And MK Dons were desperate to sign Mo Isa. And I always said if they'd signed him in May, the brand of football they play on a Russell Martin, phenomenal football, but they were lacking a goal scorer at times. I know Will Grigg at the end and score goals, but if they'd stumped up the money, they probably would have been in the playoffs and maybe even further. But they didn't want to spend that transfer fee. They wanted obviously to do a loan or they wanted to do whatever. And Pete won't mind me saying that at MK, but that's who their manager wanted. And again, my advice would be throw them in the mix with some of the teams. If you want promotion, strikers aren't cheap.
And Ryan Broom, I think, just a victim of...
yes, Ryan's a great lad. Look, we were told Sammy wouldn't come. We were told Bristol wouldn't sell. The manager wanted Ryan Broom. I went and got him Ryan Broom. I then didn't give up on Sammy. And I spent 4 weeks pretty much undercover, non-stop working on Sammy Schmollix. And I got Sammy Schmollix. And then the manager was like, fuck. We got Flynn Clark, one of our youngsters. We got Sammy, and we got Ryan Broom. So he tried to play him a right wing back. He tried to change, he was meant to be a 10. And Ryan was a victim of that. And I'm sorry that happened. He went out to Burton. A lot of clubs were in for Ryan. And they'll be in for him again in the summer. We paid a fee for him. A big club in League One's already contacted me. The usual, can we take a loan? No. We paid, I think we paid like 140 grand or whatever for him. You want him. He's a very good League One player. He's a player that'll get 10 goals, 7, 8 assists. They're not cheap. And he's still good. So if you want him, he's available. Great lad, never given us a moment's trouble. And now we've got to sell him to a club who'll give him a good career in League One.
All right, I got a last question from Pete, and I think Pete may have been asking you this before. Pete's in the US and asks, is there ever been or will there be plans for Posh to tour the US in pre-season?
We were going to do it this season. It was always our plan with promotion to come to the US to the champ. And because of COVID, we can't make it happen. So, God willing, next summer, we want to do I want to do like Boston, New York, kind of a tour, 2 weeks. Play 3 teams from the USL or the MLS, depending on the time, if it can happen. Like we might have to maybe take New York off the list because it's turned into a flea pit, crime-ridden place. Do you know what I mean? Whatever else. So I wouldn't want to endanger my players. Maybe I'll have to pick some red states, Phil.
There you go.
Yeah.
The Alabama tour is on.
Hey, listen, maybe I'll have to pick those. You know what I mean? At least we'll know that freedom. Hey, they'll be well policed. They won't be defunded. So yeah. So I'm going to have to maybe change the tour plan.
They won't need to wear their masks. Everyone will be good to go.
Oh, look, it's like freedom, baby. So, hey, and our gas stations will have petrol. So, so we'll have to wait.
Excited about that.
I know. So, so that is the plan. Great question. I so wanted to do it this summer. Couldn't do it because of COVID and the last minute stuff. It's going to happen next year. My partners want it to happen. My manager wants it to happen. And really looking forward to it. And I think we're also in January, we're going to Dubai on a 5-day pre-season winter trip as well off Point Pen. Because, we've got international breaks this time.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really important. You come out of Christmas, cold, shitty pitches, hard pitches, get the players away for a bit of a mid-season break, 5 days, refresh and go on the run-in. So that's how I've planned out already. Portugal in July. I think we're possibly playing Newcastle. We're talking to at the moment about playing out in Portugal. So we're going to have a couple of games in Portugal. January, a little tour out to Dubai for 4 or 5 days. So yeah, all good.
All right. The budgets, the travel budgets are increasing.
The travel budget's gone up, but listen, we're putting 10 people to a room, so we're trying to keep it tight. it's like that, you know. So, but listen, everyone, thank you for listening. And go to hardtruthbusiness.com. That's our business pod that we're doing now. After this, people pay, I think, £12 a month. They get, to listen to that every week. They get, we obviously do. We have the website where you can ask questions every day, and I liaise with people. It's money well spent. So go to hardtruthbusiness.com and subscribe now.
Yep, and we'll be back one last time after the playoffs for a season wrap-up.
See you later, guys.
All right, thanks, everybody.